welcome to this special edition of Issues and Insights. I'm Gina Ryan, Director of Hardin County Educational and Community Television. Today we're going to talk about the wonderful birthday anniversary of the Army, but also one of the organizations that supports all that the Army and our enlisted do every day, day in, day out, AUSA. I want you to watch this next interview with General Robert Brown. He is currently overseeing AUSA, and this is a special year. So let's listen to a little bit of what Robert shared with us about his experience. General, what I'd like to do is tell me about yourself. Tell me how you got started in the military and your background.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting. Folks may think that everybody that's in the military knew they wanted to be in the military from the time they were born, but really everybody comes in for different reasons. And I was a pretty good basketball player a long time ago, and so a guy named Coach Mike Krzyzewski, he was the coach at West Point, was his first coaching job, and he went to West Point, played for Bobby Knight there, but then he became a coach at West Point. And so I didn't even know anything about the military. And I was in Michigan my last 3 years of high school, playing against a guy named Irvin Magic Johnson, you may have heard of.
Yes.
You know, and so he's a pretty good player, and he was going to Michigan State University. And I remember my parents used to complain, oh, he's getting all the publicity. I'd be like, boy, he's pretty good, okay? You know, and used to kid them about that as he went on to win NBA championships and stuff. But anyway, so I decided I got a full basketball scholarship to go to the University of Michigan, and I was pretty excited about that. But then Coach K came by my house, talked to me about this thing called West Point. And I didn't know what it was, but I went to visit, and I really fell in love with the idea of service to a cause greater than self. And I remember at West Point they had a poster, and it had Eisenhower, Patton, MacArthur, and it said at West Point, much of the history we teach was made by those we taught. And it really just sort of gave me a clarity of, boy, this is a really neat place and what I kind of wanted to do. I knew I didn't want to go into business. I thought maybe I wanted to be a coach. But anyway, so ended up at West Point to play basketball, told Michigan no, and learned a ton from Coach K. And I was going to get out after I had a 5-year commitment. I was going to get out, but I just loved the mission. There's nothing like a service to a cause greater than self for satisfaction. And then I love the people. So I said, well, I'll keep doing this. And I was very fortunate to serve 38 years, really 42 years if you count West Point. So it's kind of a long time. And but I had assignments all over the world. And my last 10 years got to, they may have gotten the wrong Brown. I got promoted to general. It's possible they got the wrong Robert Brown, very common name. But somehow got promoted to general. And then my last 10 years commanded units at the 2-star, 3-star, 4-star level up to about 150,000 soldiers in the Pacific across, really in Alaska, California, Washington State, Hawaii, Korea, Guam, Japan, all over the half of the Earth's surface, the Pacific there, large theater. So really, I loved every minute of it. There were some tough days, but some amazing days. And so, so everybody I think comes in for a different reason, often stays in for different reasons, but the common theme is service to a cause greater than self is really rewarding. And feel very fortunate to have been part of the best team in the world, the United States Army.
Now you're also with AUSA. Can you tell us what is AUSA and how did you get connected with that?
Yeah, great question. So I feel very fortunate. AUSA, it's Association of the United States Army, and it was actually started by the Army 75 years ago in 1950, a long time ago. And they realized that professions have associations, and the profession of arms is a profession, and the associations represent the profession. For us, we were formed as an educational nonprofit, and very important. So we're really involved in education, And they selected a 4-star general on active duty to be the first president, CEO. And then the lawyers realized, hey, he can't be on active duty, he has to be retired. So after that, for 75 years, they've selected a retired 4-star general. And I was very honored to be selected to lead the Army's Association. And we educate, inform, and connect. We connect America with our Army. We educate both in the Army and outside the Army, inform folks of what the Army does, represent soldiers and their families, have 122 chapters, a very strong chapter right there at Fort Knox. And those chapters are part of the community, and they connect the Army with the community, and they help soldiers, families every day, and they help America know what her Army is doing. I mean, this year we're celebrating the 250th birthday of the Army. We had an Army before we had a nation. A year before we had a nation, where you could argue we have a nation because we had an Army. That's how we got our independence and freedom. And so very proud. AUSA is all over, everywhere the Army is, active Army, National Guard, and reserves. We'll have AUSA chapters supporting, and we have 1.9 million members. We're a membership organization, and those members are all over the world, and they're folks that want to help soldiers and their families and want a strong Army to help protect our freedom here at home.
Are those numbers down, General Brown, or in terms of participants? Have you seen it wane the last few years?
Actually, it's just the opposite.
Oh,
we had 200,000 members about 5 years ago, and we grew in a little over a year to 1 million. And now this year we'll hit 2 million. So it's growing at an incredible rate because of a lot of efforts of the team and a lot more individuals getting involved and wanting to help. And so now we've seen incredible growth. And then all our programs we're doing, we do educational programs, we do a whole series of leadership programs. Those are growing as well. So it's really a good time. I hope it keeps up. We're growing like crazy, and again, it's thanks mostly those 122 chapters out there. They're with the community doing great work, and they're the key to the success of the whole organization and truly helping ensure we have a strong Army to maintain the peace.
Do you have to be in the military to be in AUSA?
Great question. Yeah, and most people think, yes, you do. The answer is actually no. And here at AUSA, working for 70% of the people working at the Association of the United States Army were never in the military. And it's about 40% of the folks that are in chapters and leadership roles out there that have never served in the Army. But I say this is their way of serving now. They're serving soldiers and families by volunteering. They're super volunteers. And so really they're serving now. Even if they didn't serve, a lot of them, their parents served, grandparents served, a close relative or friend served. They find out about the Army and they want to help. And so that's a great question, because some people will say, well, I can't do it because I didn't serve the Army. You don't have to. 40% haven't. Then we do get a lot of 60% that have served, some for a couple of years and it really impacted them, some for 40 years. And they want to keep helping and serving and volunteering.
Now, this year, with the 250th anniversary or birthday, what's some of the events that you all are doing throughout the year?
Oh boy, all those 122 chapters, every one of them had celebrations. Some small, just little, dinner. Some huge banquets and events. We had the biggest celebration we had was in Philadelphia, where it started at Valley Forge, a key spot, and I was honored to talk at Valley Forge and went all the way through 3 days of celebrations where George Washington, where the Army was created in Philadelphia at the time. And we went through Washington's leadership and huge participation by thousands of folks, to small Army birthday celebrations and banquets, some a couple hundred people, some a couple thousand people all over the Army. And then, of course, there was the big celebration. The parade got a lot of publicity here in D.C. That was really, I think, I went to that as well, and that was just incredible. The lines were a mile long for folks to get in, and they were there among soldiers and looking at all the equipment, and then, of course, saw the traditions, the history of the Army in the parade. They had soldiers dressed in uniforms from World War I, World War II. Just incredible to educate people on what the Army's done and how really, again, we have our freedom isn't free. We have our freedom because of the Army and the sacrifice of a lot of individuals over 250 years to bring us our freedom. So it was a great experience, and it continues. We have an annual meeting in October in Washington, D.C. It'll get about 40,000 participants and 700 defense companies showing the latest technology for soldiers, and it's an educational program, 101 educational forums there. And we'll celebrate for 3 days the Army's birthday there as well. The incredible displays, historical displays, tributes, and it'll be just a great event. That's 13 to 15 October here in Washington, D.C., if anybody wants to come. So celebrations across the United States, even in Europe and the Pacific, mostly through the AUSA chapters, again, supporting the Army and celebrating. And so we're really proud of the history, and it's key to the freedom we enjoy today.
I was going to ask, definitely military arms have changed, that type of thing, but what do you think stays consistent with those first soldiers from 250 years ago at Valley Forge? What did they have today's Army has?
That's really a great question. And in our magazine that we put out, I'll show it's an Army magazine we put out. We did a history tracing the Army, and that was one of the articles. Retired General Dubik covered, what are the lessons learned, what's the same over time that we learned. And I think the most important thing is the American style of leadership that started with George Washington, inspirational leadership. And American soldiers, when appropriately inspired, they know the cause is right, are unstoppable. Unstoppable. Now, at the same time, if they think a leader's doing something just to make themselves look good, they're the biggest pain in the butt you can ever imagine, because they're not going to perform. So from Valley Forge, the very start, we had dedicated soldiers that understand when the cause is right, they're going to give 100%, and in some cases, the ultimate sacrifice, their lives for freedom, for the nation. And that's unlike anybody anywhere. You look at other nations, we in the Army support and defend the Constitution of the United States, not an individual. Most armies, they support a king, a queen, a communist regime, but we support a document that is all about freedom, the Constitution, against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And so that's remained consistent. Soldiers, people, there's a saying, people aren't in the Army, people are the Army. And that was from Creighton Abrams, a famous general in the Army, and Abrams tank named after him. And boy, he got it right. It's in the Army, it's the people. Yes, we need great equipment, but one thing that hasn't changed, whether you're at Valley Forge and they were suffering in the cold and 2,000 soldiers died from disease and cold and hardship, not battle, in that sacrifice. It's unbelievable when you look at that, and the sacrifices over the years, and that has not changed. Soldiers today are committed to support and defend the Constitution so we can have the freedom that we all enjoy. So I think everything hasn't changed. It's a great question.
Yeah. I know that many of us, we know George Washington, of course, was the first president. How good of an officer was he?
Oh my gosh. I would tell you, people still study today Washington's leadership. I'm reading a relatively new book by Ron Chernow on Washington, and I continue to learn leadership lessons. He was an amazing leader. I think most amazing about Washington is he had to inspire soldiers and the Army when they weren't getting paid, they didn't have the right equipment, things looked bleak against a professional Army from Great Britain that at the time was the best Army in the world. And yet he inspired them, and that inspirational leadership that remains. He also was amazing. He learned from mistakes. He wasn't perfect. He made mistakes, but he learned from them. He was a stellar, and he was the first general, 4-star general. Later, Congress would, I think he's a 7-star now, promote up to 7-star, the only 7-star general. But it's kind of neat. He was the first 4-star general over the years, and I'm proud. Like I didn't even know, but a friend told me I'm the 216th four-star general in the history of the United States. The second four-star general was Ulysses S. Grant. So you had Washington, then Grant, and I'm number 216. So I'm very proud. I got nicknamed B216, and so I'm very proud. But it started with George Washington, and talk about an amazing leader. I think the other thing is he could have been a king. He could have very easily. He had so much power and so much control, but no, he gave it to others and realized the Constitution, and he purposely gave up power so that it would be, we wouldn't be like others, and we would be unique in the experiment of democracy. And pretty amazing. We're all fortunate he was that type of leader, an amazing person that had that vision.
Now, of course, we are right next door to Fort Knox, and what can individuals do to help or foster whatever AUSA needs or the Army needs?
Well, thanks for asking that. I have a personal, I love Fort Knox. I was there as a captain for the Armor Career Course back in 1986, and my middle daughter, Kristen, was born there at Fort Knox. So I have a particular love of Ireland Army Hospital in Fort Knox there, because one of my three amazing daughters, and so it's just great memories there at Fort Knox. But I will tell you that there are always soldiers and families to help. They're great, amazing people, but life happens, and things happen, and so there are always soldiers and families to help. And the great chapter there at Fort Knox is constantly helping. And so volunteering, and it can be just little, doesn't need to be a huge commitment of time, but just a little bit of volunteer. Go to the chapter meetings, learn about what they're doing, and see how you can help. And I guarantee you, you will experience, like our volunteer leaders do, the reward. There's nothing like when you're doing something for somebody to help, when they can never repay. You're not doing it to get repaid. You're not doing it for your own advancement. When it makes you feel better than anything you ever accomplished yourself. I guarantee you. And it's just a great feeling. And then when you see that little bit of help, how much it helps those individuals who are trying to serve our country, and maybe they run into a tough time. Maybe they had an issue with, who knows, everything from finances to a tragedy to, but volunteering, you can make a huge difference, and you'll feel really good about it. So just get involved. The local chapters there, you can Google it, find out, and you'll see when they have meetings, and they'll get connected with you. You can join for free, by the way, AUSA. You don't have to. You get more if you pay a small fee. We've got some specials right now celebrating the 250th of the Army. So you can join for $25 for a couple of years. You can $250 for a lifetime membership. Normally costs $400 just to celebrate the 250th. But you can join for free. Don't pay anything and become a member. And we'd love to get you on the team. And you'll see, you'll learn a lot. You'll feel great. You'll be helping others, and you'll make a difference. So for sure, definitely look at how folks could do that. You'd enjoy it. Yeah.
Great. Oh, it's been wonderful talking with you, General Brown. Anything you'd like to add that I didn't mention?
Well, thanks for having us and letting us tell our story, because, often often people just don't know, and you try to get the story out. So we really appreciate you having us on, allowing us to tell a little bit of what we do. And again, we everything we do is really geared towards helping make sure our soldiers have what they need. The American public understands what our soldiers do, how they're there to help. And I guarantee you, in a time of need, your military is going to be there. Your Army is going to be there. You see them when there's a tragedy of a storm or hurricane, which, gosh, we've had so many, the crazy weather. Who's the first there? The military, assisting, helping, doing everything they can. Our great National Guard, part of the community, twice the soldiers. They're citizens, jobs in the community, and soldiers, amazing. And then all our military, the whole military out there protecting us in this crazy world against folks that their biggest enemy is freedom. So we just thank you for letting us tell our story. And if we get one person that volunteers because of it, it's a success. So we thank you very much. And thanks for allowing us to explain a little bit about 250th. And what we do for the Army.
Great. So gracious. General Brown was just really gracious with his time, and he mentioned Gene Gudenkauf. And Gene, of course, is a resident of Hardin County. His children graduated from North Hardin. His daughter teaches now at John Hardin High School. And you have your realty business with RE/MAX. And first, Gene, just for our audience, they may not know you, so tell us a little bit about you, what service you had, and what prompted you to settle in Radcliffe.
I joined the Army in '69, which most people back at that time frame didn't have a choice. You got a letter in the mail telling you what day to show up. And then I retired here on Fort Knox in '89. We moved here in '85, and I've been very involved ever since. I don't know of too many organizations I'm not part of. But the one that I really do the most with is the Association of the United States Army, because it is the only professional organization that totally supports the soldiers. And that might be an airman, that might be a Marine, might be a Navy guy, but we work for all of the military, even though it's called the Association of the United States Army. We don't put any boundaries up. We're here to make sure that our military has been taken care of.
If someone wants to get involved, what do they need to do?
Go to AUSA.org, and you can go on there. And in fact, there are several ways you can join. You can become a life member, and for the rest of this year, that life membership is only $250.
Because of the anniversary?
Because of the anniversary of the United States Army.
That's really a small fee for a lifetime membership.
Or you can do 5 years for $50, which is $10 a year. Mm-hmm. Or if you really want to not spend any money, we have a basic membership which you can get for free.
What types of activities do you do for those who serve?
The biggest thing that we're doing right now is we support all of the units on Fort Knox. The biggest unit that we support is every week we do a graduation for the Recruiting Retention College. We recognize the honor graduate, which is the next recruiter going out on the street to talk about bringing in young men and women for the military. In fact, on June the 14th, when we celebrated the 250th birthday, we had, I would say, 25 to 30 young men and women that took the oath that day to join the military.
That's awesome. With the AUSA, you mentioned the fees or there are special discounts this year. With some of the things that took place nationally, what are some other things? Are you all going to be doing any additional items this year locally as a chapter for the anniversary? We
did all of that in coordination with the Patton Museum. Mm-hmm. We had a big thing on that Saturday. It was an all-day event. We had plenty of cake for everybody that showed up. They got a free piece of cake, of the Army birthday cake. Mm-hmm. One of the young gentlemen that took the oath that morning was the youngest soldier, so he got to help cut the cake with a saber.
Oh, wonderful. Now, are those pictures online? People can see some of the celebration?
There's a website.
He mentioned it, but you do not have to be involved in the military in order to help.
No.
Okay. And
you can be a civilian that cares about the military, and that's what we want.
And do you all have annual fundraisers that help support a lot of your services as well?
The biggest fundraiser we have every year, and it's normally on the first Friday of June, basically a week before the Army birthday celebration. But this year we had to postpone it, and now it's going to be on July the 11th because of the weather that come in on the first Friday.
And what is that? What event is that?
It's our golf scramble.
And where
we do it on Fort Knox itself, right there on the golf course.
Okay. And so has that already filled with teams, or are you still taking teams?
We'll take teams up to the day that we put them out on the street now.
Yeah. And it usually, it usually has a great crowd to come along. It's a lot of fun.
There's people that ask for it, well, what I got to do for next year.
Right.
And
Already
a
participate.
lot of the same teams come back every year.
Awesome. Again, for those, if they'd like to get involved, they need to go to AUSA.org.
AUSA.org, and then go to membership, and that will do that. Or you can call me direct. I don't mind getting the phone calls. My cell phone number is 270-352-7797. And I'll write down my email address if you have a way to be able to put it on there.
We will do that. And where does the group normally meet?
We have an executive council meeting once a month at Sam Adams on Fort Knox on the first Tuesday of every month. We don't do a meeting in July because of 4th of July, and we don't do one in October because of the annual meeting is always in October.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Gene, for your service, and also for your service with AUSA. And is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I just want to make sure that everybody knows you're going to see a new logo that changed a couple of years ago. It goes all the way back to World War II.
Oh, wonderful.
When a bunch of Rangers had to climb a cliff to take out a gun machine, and I give you the story on that you can share with them. But it shows two soldiers, one helping the other one over a cliff. Mm-hmm. And that's our new logo now. What it's supposed to represent is a World War II soldier helping a new soldier over the cliff.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Gene. And we want to thank you at home. Become a member of AUSA today, and also celebrate the anniversary/birthday of the United States Army.